Okay, Clifton, here we are. I've been falling behind on video work for students with boats. When we started the channel, we wanted to do tech tips, students with boats, side trips, and of course the big projects we do. King's Pride has been taking up a lot of our time, but I need to seize the moment because you were one of the early on students that got a project boat, fixed it up, which is
definitely
what we do.
a project.
Definitely was a project, and you've made grumblings about maybe selling it before it's done, which is something that I think I'm going to do with King's Pride.
Yeah, it sounds like sacrilege, but you know, sometimes the situations change, and you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So, what are we sitting in here?
So this is Panakeia. She is a Spencer 35, built in Vancouver, British Columbia, over that way. Built in 1969. She is the, I think, 68th boat in this series. Pretty good boats. The original hull is, I mean, because they were built before all the problems with the blistering and everything, it's a pretty strong hull and it's pretty overbuilt. Something I found really interesting about this boat was that the hull and the deck are all one piece. They're built separately and then they're sort of laminated together and it becomes one piece called monocoque construction. It's pretty interesting, and yeah,
I remember when you were looking at boats. You've done some sailing with former student Mark Green down in Mexico and stuff, but you we were at one of John Neal's offshore sailing seminars, and this boat is listed in his book of boats that he would, you know, that potentially recommendations could go offshore. And
yeah, the layout of this boat, the cabin layout, the original cabin layout, is the original, but back in like 70 or something like that, one of the original owners of one of these boats sailed around the world and in one of these and came back, gave him feedback, and so they changed the layout of the boat. They added 2 feet, I think, or 1 foot to the length of the cabin, so it had more room in their galley and a little bit more usable for offshore sailing. And then it's pretty interesting, just like 2 days ago I was out here cleaning the deck and some guy came by and was like, hey, what's this? And he said he had met someone just recently, like last year or something, down in Mexico or somewhere south, I don't remember exactly where, but he's like, yeah, this guy's already gone around the world in a Spencer 35 and is on his way around again. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy, you know, because they're 60 years old. They're not spring chickens.
Vintage.
Yeah, they are. They are not spring chickens, and so, but they've held up pretty well.
I think so. I remember when you were, well, I got to be honest, you were talking about building a wooden boat, which the staff at Marine Tech said, well, are you sure?
Yeah, we all have dreams.
That's right.
We all have dreams, and
not that you won't.
Sometimes
you have built wooden.
I have built wooden boats. I've built wooden dinghies, and so that's a good place to start. You know, maybe one day I'll build something bigger than 15 feet. Maybe. I don't know.
So when we got this boat, you came up and said, you know, I'm looking at a Spencer. Inside was gutted. I do recall the one of the criteria was it had an aluminum spar, that it wasn't a wooden mast,
right?
Because those were problematic.
Yeah, they're cause issues.
But this thing has been. You are a long ways down the road, so you actually built this galley and the drawers and this raised settee here and all of this stuff.
Yeah. So originally, the galley was right here, and it was about this big. It was tiny. It was just, I would have hated to cook there. And this, where we're sitting now, was a settee, but it was, well, you know, at least it was 11 inches lower than it is now. And then there was another settee bench over there. And I was like, I like food. I really like food and I like cooking. So I decided that was a horrible place to cook. And I really wanted something that was really nice. And originally, this was going to be the galley. It was going to be a U-shaped galley, and then I was going to put the settee over on the port side. But just trying to figure it out, there was no way I could build a settee over there where I didn't smash my head on the deck. And so I decided, our friend Art from school, he came up with a plan to raise the deck, or raise the settee, so that you could look out the windows while you're eating. And I was like, that's brilliant. And so I built a platform down here and raised the entire settee up. I added these lockers here. There's lockers underneath the seats. There's lockers underneath the table.
Tons of storage.
Yeah, probably twice as much storage as it used to have.
And that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Sitting up high, you can see out.
So it's great. It's like this is the perfect height to look out and see what's going on around your boat. And yeah, these are another add-on.
I was gonna say, this looks like 6 new opening ports with screens and everything.
Originally, it was just plexiglass covers on the outside, and so I took those all off and replaced them with opening ports. So, and it's been nice. The breeze is so much better that way.
I just love going on boats, seeing what people have done and being creative, and this is definitely, so you've got a V-berth forward.
Correct. Composting
head.
Yep. I went with the Nature's Head, just because of the space constraints. You could get an airhead. There's 2 or 3 other different ones. This is the one that fit for me best, and so I've kept a lot of it from forward of the settee. I've kept most of it the way it was. I just had to put a platform in for the airhead, but I did change the locker area on the port side, because there used to be a sink there, and I thought, well, I'm putting a sink right here, there's really no, so instead of having a sink, I have still the original 3 drawers, but I also have another stand-up locker and a small locker.
Got a lot of storage.
Yeah, and there's still the wet locker on the starboard side in the head.
And then you've got a ice box yet in the back over here. Just poured inside the companionway, and that still needs a refrigeration unit, like we just put on King's Pride.
Yeah, that's really the last big project that I had planned. It's an ice box, so you just throw your ice in there, and it melts and drains into the bilge. But I wanted to build an actual refrigerator in there, and so that is really the last big one. And
you got new AC, DC panels, chart plotter.
Right.
The quarter berth back there looks like it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, the where the galley used to be, I tore that out and opened up into the cockpit locker area and built a quarter berth in there, so that I would be able to sleep close to the companionway
when at sea.
Right.
And then the batteries are over there as well?
Actually, the batteries are underneath me and back here.
So you got some house in the start. And I see you got a solar controller, solar cell out back, and the lazarette, which is on top of the new propane locker.
Right.
Which I looked at. That looks like that totally meets standard. And this beautiful new 2-burner.
I think I've made a pot of water for tea on that
so far.
So,
well, spring is coming. Might have to take the dock lines off.
Right.
So some of the other stuff, so this was truly a carcass, and you've done a fabulous job with the woodwork. I think your woodworking passion shows in all of this stuff you've done.
Yeah, this is like the centerpiece of it. This is a teak grating that I built from a bunch of teak that I got donated to me from someone at school at the high school. And then I filled it all with epoxy so that it's solid, but I mean you can see through it.
Are you gonna put some little LED lights in
I thought about it because I was cleaning the other day and I put a light down here and I was like, that's really cool. So, as a matter of fact, we can maybe throw a
light under there.
Throw some light under there, see what it looks like.
Oh yeah.
And then
that's cool.
Yeah, if you had
beautiful.
A light bar along the entire back side of it, it would just look. It would be amazing.
Then being the electrical guy, I didn't really want to burst your bubble too much. You wanted to do an electric drive in this thing.
Yeah, I did. And you
still would if you had the
oh,
opportunity.
absolutely. If I could afford it, I would.
Because you do not like the fossil fuel burning.
I
nonsense.
hate internal combustion engines. I absolutely hate them.
But you got a donated motor. It's got like close to 6,000 hours. Little Volvo.
I think it's almost 6,000 hours or something like that. I don't
and it
really
runs.
know. Yeah,
does the job. It's got a new shaft. You had to do the shaft and prop and stuff,
right.
which you would have done for an electric motor anyways.
Yeah, I mean I was going to happen.
And you just figured the Volvo get you a ways down the road, kick the can down the road, get the boat finished, and then see where we were at with electric propulsion.
Right. I mean it's getting better, and it's a matter of just picking the right one for the size of the boat and getting the battery bank sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, you cleaned out the fuel tank, put in inspection ports, and you've got an electric priming pump on the fuel filter. I mean, we know, full disclosure, that if it sits for 2 or 3 months, you give it a little shot of WD-40 and it cranks right up. And if you're out cruising day after day, it runs and does a fine job.
Right.
So.
Yeah. If it sits, it is cranky, but other than that,
if I sit too long, I get cranky.
Yeah.
So tiller steering.
Yeah.
It's just classic plastic, right? That's what we call them. These are tough old boats.
Yeah.
But sail pretty well because she's narrow. She's not big and fat, so pretty good in a seaway. Yeah.
The other big thing that I did was redo the rigging.
I remember I helped you paint the spar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At Marine Tech one Sunday or something.
Took the mast off and brought it into Marine Tech and repainted it. Redid all of the electrical in it. And Dave and Sarah from Iconi Marine, they're former students. They came up and helped me do synthetic rigging on the standing rigging.
So the rigging was all replaced.
Yeah, so it's got synthetic standing rigging, and I replaced all the running rigging, and the sails are actually in pretty good shape. They're older, but they're not the original sails. I do
plenty serviceable.
Yeah, they're definitely good.
I did like we've got the video of Step in the Mast.
Yeah. That was
a fun time. Frank and everybody, they all helped. But what I like about the synthetic, and we didn't do it on King's Pride because it's still kind of new, but it's something that you did all yourself. Yeah. Like we had all the math with Dave and Sarah that we did in the shop, and then the cutting and splicing. That was the coolest project.
The other nice thing about it too is I got all the equipment from Caligo, and if you just call the guy, he'll totally just like, oh yeah, this is what you need to do. But I had Dave and Sarah. They sort of work with him sometimes.
And they've done a couple of boats.
Yeah, they've done a few.
It's always nice to have somebody to help you along on your first time.
Yeah, it was a little unnerving. It was like, this is.
Yeah, and then the one thing that we did talk about you want to change is the chain plates are attached to the deck.
Yeah.
And you were talking about putting some external strap.
Right.
Chain plates.
Somehow
before, if you're going to sail to Hawaii or something, you'd be like potentially beef that. They seem to work. They seem to work.
They've gone around the world several times, so they seem to be working. But
you're a solid one everything.
I definitely want everything to be as, because I'm kind of paranoid.
Thank you for opening up part of your personal life, your boat, showing it to our current students, former students. There's a bunch of you with boats, and we're gonna get it on film to inspire new technicians, because not only when we work in the industry, we actually want to have our own passion and be able to fix up our own stuff and not pay enormous amounts of money. So that's
although like you've always said, there's nothing more expensive than a free boat.
I know, but you actually had to pay some bucks.
I did actually have to put some money into this,
the storage fees or whatever you had to pay to get the boat.
Right. And so
and all the equipment was not cheap that you bought.
Oh no, it's
did you keep track like I did on King's Pride?
No, I don't want to know.
That'd be crazy talk.
I don't want to know. I've definitely put
it's a hobby and a passion.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
But it's definitely. I mean, if I'm honest, there's still a lot of things to do. Like I said, the refrigerator still needs to be done.
The sole needs to be done. Headliner, it's all insulated, new beams. It's all. I mean, you've done, like, I think with King's Pride, the backbone and the hard stuff has all been done. You can actually just go out and sail the boat now and work on it. Where for a couple of years there, you,
there's no.
you
way
were
I
not
could
going
go
out
to
on Saturday sailing. You
No.
were just working on it.
Wasn't doing that.
So,
Especially before I got the rigging, I was like,
well, yeah, that was not it.
it's like I don't think I trust this.
Well, excellent. Thank you for opening up and sharing.
Yeah,
and
glad to do it.
we'll do it again. Let's go find another boat to crawl around on.
Right on.
Okay.